Cloud. All right, so we are recording. Welcome. This is the January 2021. Yes, that's where we're at. January 2021 quarterly WITfm meeting. Thank you so much, everyone who has been able to join us. A couple of housekeeping things before we get started. This tool that we are using, we'll use for the whole slide deck. It's called Mentimeter. I like to use it on my phone. So I go to menti.com and then type in that numerical code, but you can also just click on the link that I just dropped in chat. As you've probably seen, if you are there, you're able to contribute to the word cloud, but there's also a place where you can put in questions, and there will be opportunities to submit also reactions to other slides. So the whole slide deck is in Mentimeter today. We have a very full agenda for the day, and so I think that we will dive right in. If you have, I said that already about the questions. Oh, if you are able and willing to turn on your video, I would love to see faces. If not, I understand, but wonderful. Well, let's get started. I think these are some awesome suggestions of what was great about 2020. I know I had a tendency to kind of glaze over the good things, but been some moments to reflect the last couple of days about, you know, there really are good things that have come out of it, and will continue, I'm sure, to come out of it despite all the challenge. So thank you for contributing, and I'll share this back in the Slack when we're done with the meeting. We are going to start, I think, with a financial update. I think I saw Laramie jump in here. Yes, I know you have to also leave, so we'll let you take the spotlight for the quick financial update front and center first. But you're on mute.
Thank you. I was. Now I'm off mute. Okay. So we'll just. Oh, I just realized there's an error on the slide. So it should say Q3 beginning balance of $21,653.40. That's the bank balance. We had an income of $455.55, then plus $90.95 of in-kind donations. This is the first time we've ever had anything like that, and so I'm reflecting it in italics just to show that it doesn't affect our bank balance. The expenses for the quarter were $253.61, and we had an ending balance of $21,854.79. This was reconciled as of Monday, January 11th, and we are set up with the CPAs to file our Form 990 and then to be current with the IRS. I believe they will start with that shortly this week. For the breakdown of our Q4 income, we did have our in-kind donation, which I mentioned before. We did not have any donations. We did not have any product sales. We had monthly dues of $215, which is actually down from the previous quarter. And then we have annual dues of $140. So, and that is actually the end of my report.
Thank you, Laramie, and thank you for keeping us honest and putting that together and managing the bank and all of those things that you do for us.
Could I just ask, what does in kind mean?
So we had a member pay for a service that we used, and instead of being reimbursed, they said they would like to get a receipt instead. Gotcha. For a donation. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Laramie. That's all I have to say. Thank you. Gonna fly through a couple of fairly big updates, but we are not planning to offer a 2021 Engage scholarship this year. I guess that would be implied. We suspect that there will not be an in-person conference in 2021 because the world doesn't seem to be getting better, although that has not yet been announced. And so if something were to change, we wouldn't, I don't think, have the lead time to be able to sanely offer a scholarship from start to finish and award it and send someone. That being said, I do see at least one of our 2020 scholarship award winners on this call, and you are still our #1 priority, and the very first time that we have an opportunity to bring you to an engage in person, that is definitely still on our plate. But we're not planning to award any new scholarships for this year, in anticipation that we just won't have the lead time to do that. Sarah, do you want to add anything? Sarah Beat, do you want to add anything about that?
No, I mean, I totally just echoing what you're saying there. We would love to do another scholarship this year, but unfortunately, it's just looking like it's not going to be in the cards. But with that being said, we will put all of our efforts into the year that we can, and it's going to be a great year because we're going to probably have double the entries that are going to be, or double the winners that will be attending. So we should have a really great presence. So looking forward to that.
Thank you so much. Welcome, Julie. I do want to put you on the spot, actually. Can I put you on the spot next for a Claris update briefly?
Sure. So my assumption is the next slide is to talk about what kind of occurred yesterday. Yeah. And so I just wanted to share, first of all, for those of you that are not aware, within Claris, a little over a year ago, we began a group called Women at Claris. For some of you that may be aware, with our association with Apple, Apple has all kinds of groups worldwide. There's women at Apple, there's Latinos at Apple, there's Blacks at Apple, there's every kind of group that you can imagine. And there was a small group of women colleagues of mine who we got together about a year and a half ago and said, you know, we need to have a Women at Claris. And so we created Women at Claris to bring together not only the women within the organization, but also to try to engage with men at Claris, which is not a group, but there are many men at Claris, to sort of help bridge the understanding of how to work really well with our gender. And we also wanted to be a supportive entity to women within Claris who might want mentorship, who might want a supportive ear, might want guidance, career advancement, any of those things. And over the course of the year, we did many things from learning. We shared a book, Dare to Lead from Brene Brown. We did a hike worldwide with all of our teams. We've done a number of things. So we came around to this year, and we used to do also, as the pandemic started, we did Friday morning coffees, just to sort of give breaks to those of us who are all working from home and challenged in, you know, maybe feeling a little isolated. So we did games and Mad Libs and coffees, and we even did a happy hour, etc. So we came around to our 1-year anniversary. We decided to do a bring your own brunch event for women at Claris. And we invited Women Innovating Together and Diversitable to be our guest speakers at yesterday's event. We invited everyone. There was no one excluded from Claris for attending, and we had nice attendance. Brad is the executive sponsor of Women at Claris, and he said some very kind words. And we really had an opportunity to share across a broad group at Claris who Women Innovating Together is, has been, and what has been done by that organization in conjunction with FileMaker and Claris over the number of years. Because remember, many of our staff have never attended a DevCon. They don't know about the scholarships. They don't know about the work that this organization has done. We had a great opportunity to do breakouts. I thought that was a super win. We weren't sure how that was going to go, but it turned out to be the highlight, where we all just got to get to know each other a little bit better. We shared with our group what we're going to try to do, women at Claris, internally at Claris over the next year in relationship to our mission. And then we announced, with support of Claris leadership, that any women at Claris that would like to join Women Innovating Together, that Claris would pick up the tab for a year of their subscription membership. And so, so Chrissy did a fantastic presentation. Maka presented on DiversiTable, which was completely great. There was lots of leadership that attended from WITfm, which I cannot thank that leadership enough. And we are just really delighted about what happened yesterday. It was awesome for the Women at Claris admin team. We were super excited about what actually occurred during that meeting and how well it went off. And we were inspired by the collaboration with WITfm. So I just wanted to share, this is a natural alignment that has just even gotten better in my opinion. And it was super fun. So that's my update.
Thank you so much, Julie. I really appreciate that. And again, thank you for the opportunity to both to speak to your group, and then also to, you know, that Claris is doing that sponsorship is really exciting. And I really hope that we'll see a lot more Claris involvement. I see at least you and Rosemary are here, so that's great. And I think it is worth saying that I should have made a separate slide for this, and I apologize, it is my oversight. One of the things that we have been working on, but I think have not yet shared with the broader group, is that our WITfm mentorship program is partnering with DiversiTable to be able to build one set of infrastructure and mentoring that will serve the broader community. So Maka is heading up the DiversiTable side of that effort, and it was just too good of an opportunity to pass up. We're both looking to offer mentorship services in the Claris community to anyone who needs them, but particularly being interested in people who are underrepresented in our spaces. And those missions were just so well aligned that we had to jump at that opportunity. So thank you for Heather and Maka for helping to get that together. And I will repeat this several times on this call, but if mentorship or anything else is something that you are interested in becoming more involved in, or even just willing to become more involved in, please reach out. We, in particular for that program, there is some heavy lifting that needs to happen as we're sort of at the soft launch, I think you would say. Is that fair, Maka? And getting to the full launch, and there is some work that needs to be done that we need help with. So if you've got website marketing, any FileMaker, any of that kind of stuff that you could contribute, we would be very happy to have your help. Maka, do you want to say anything else about the mentorship piece?
You all can go to diversetable.org if you want to see more about like what we have. Essentially what we did is we took the existing mentorship program and added a lot of structure to it. So it's kind of a very structured, very much more hands-on mentorship experience, instead of just like, here's an introduction and you're off into the wild. The other thing I'll say is that we're also focusing on job readiness through DiversiTable. So we actually, let's see if she's on the call right here. But we've created an app that will build in FileMaker that will build your resume for you. It's actually super cool. So might be a good presentation one day. And we have an app that we built to build your roadmap of like where you want to go and how you can get there. So the idea is to just make it less work for the mentor if it's much more structured and we have a plan. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, check out diversitytable.org. And also there's a WITfm link. I think it's WITfm/mentoring. Is that right?
Yep, I dropped that
Okay.
in the chat too, so you can get
Okay.
there directly. That sends you the links to the Diversitable site as well. Thank you so much, yeah, for all of your work on that Maka, and also on the partnership. Julie, before I switch off, is there anything else from the Claris side that you want to say?
Nothing in particular. You know, we came off of a very good and active Q1 for us. We all went away for the holidays. We come back, and I guess I feel like we are hoping that everybody is just staying healthy right now. We're all watching the news about COVID and all this. So on the hearts and minds of everybody at Claris is, you know, how are our partners and our colleagues doing? And we just hope everybody's staying safe and healthy and getting through this.
Thank you, Julie. So one of the other things that is on top of our mind is we recently lost a great friend in Shin. I think that many of you who are here on the call probably knew her. And there's a question if we could help put together a memorial scholarship in her honor. And we would very much like to do this. The parameters that we've been thinking about are that it would be for a woman from the Asia Pacific region, that it would cover a broader range of expenses. So it could cover travel, hotel, and conference registration, in particular, because if they were to come to the US, the travel is itself just a huge barrier. It would still be for a first time Engage attendee, but there are a lot of details that need to get into place to get from the point we are at now, where there's a lot of community support. People are very interested. I really don't think that fundraising is really one of the main concerns. It's more we need help with the logistical framing. And if you've been thinking about perhaps getting involved with WITfm, this would be a really nice opportunity to do one concrete thing. It has a start and an end. We need help like forming it, making the plan, getting it off the ground, letting everyone know it's there. And if that was the extent of your involvement and then you wanted to step back, that would be totally appreciated. And we'd be very glad to have you on for that time. So if that is something that anyone speaks to anyone, please reach out to me, info@witfm.org or in Slack, because we would really like to do this. And we really just, I think the only thing that we need is a person to help shepherd the process along. We have the infrastructure in terms of donations, and we have the bank accounts, and we have the expertise, and you wouldn't be alone. I mean, Sarah Beat has a lot of experience putting together these scholarships, and please go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say I will definitely be a part of this team as well. So you will not be alone. We'd be working in tandem. It just kind of helps because it's a little bit of an extension on what we do for our normal scholarships, especially because it's new. So we would just love if anybody wants to come and join, just to try to make that as much of a success as we can.
And there's a question if it would be one time or annual. I think that's still open for discussion. I think that a lot of people would love to see it be an annual scholarship, if we can make that happen. But I think that's yeah, open for discussion. So you can shape the future of these answers if you come on board, and we would very much love to have you. Just want to quickly touch on a couple of virtual meetups. Here you see, I think, the next two that are coming up. You can find the full calendar for the future at that link. Laura has been doing a great job of getting people in. If you are even having an inkling that you would like to speak at a virtual meetup, please contact Laura. She would be more than happy to hear your ideas, I'm sure. She's very nice, she's approachable. Or if you would like to pick on someone else and say that you would like to hear from them, that also works. So if you know someone who's doing something really cool in the community and you want to, you know, pinpoint them and say, I'd like to hear from you, tell Laura that, and then we'll see if we can get them
Yes.
on the spot. Go ahead.
For sure. Any ideas I'll take. So
And I think the ones we have lined up are really great, and I'm looking forward to that. And also thanks to the people who have already spoken in the last couple of months. I'm learning a ton at every single one, so that's wonderful. And brings us to the next major horizon for the virtual realm, which is that we are still in the very early phases of planning. And I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but if you would like to shape the future of this, please get in touch. We would like to have an International Women's Day celebration. International Women's Day is March 8th. The very initial raw thoughts are that perhaps we would have a morning and an evening Eastern time event so that we could try to capture as much of the globe as we could. Yes, if you have ideas, thoughts about this, we were thinking that we would highlight, significant achievements by women over the past year as a one of the themes, but open to other suggestions. And please reach out if you'd like to get involved, and stay tuned and mark your calendar if you'd just like to be an attendee. All right, I am going to pause for a moment. I think this is the end of our housekeeping session. Are there any housekeeping things that are urgent that I have missed? Wonderful. Okay. So the topic for perhaps the rest of the meeting, though we do have some breakout room sessions in mind if we have time, which I suspect is overly ambitious, but is we'd like to raise this question of a type of membership that would be available to men. And this came up a bit in October and has been coming up not for the first time in October. It's been a recurring question. And the messages that I've heard so far have primarily been that one of the most important things about WITfm is that it creates a safe space for women so that we can support each other and make sure that we are getting what we need to be able to stand up in our work and in our lives. And that's definitely, I think that's still of the utmost importance, and that's the number one priority that we have. So the idea of just having, it's open to everyone and everyone gets all of the same things was definitely a bit of a challenge, because we felt that we needed to have spaces where we could connect with other women without having to worry about who else is in that room. However, that was in tension with the idea that we also need to be able to meaningfully engage men as allies, and that a lot of the men who are in our community are actively asking us, how can I get more involved? What can I do to be supportive? What do you need from us? How can we best further the voice of the women in our community? And so both of those were thoughts that we've had in our minds as we've been going through this. And one potential solution that we'd like to see what the thoughts are from everyone is to have a associate membership for men. And this is a lot of text that's very small on the Mentimeter screen. I could not make it any larger. Maybe if someone could grab this from general and post it in the Slack chat, in the Zoom chat, that would be fantastic. But I'll read it. So the proposal could be something like, associate membership is available to men. Membership dues will be the same as the voting membership dues. Associate members may be committee members, but the lead positions of the committees are reserved for women. Associate members would be non-voting supportive members. Associate members would have guest access to the Slack committee they work on, since we use Slack as our primary committee central hub, and perhaps guest access to the general channel or other Slack channels as designated by the board. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are.
Chrissy, I'll make 2 comments on this. First of all, fundamentally, this is a personal statement. I think one of the ways that we're going to truly impact diversity and inclusion is by including. And I think that what we're seeing at Women at Claris, there are many men, because we allow Women at Claris is for any gender. There are many men within Claris who want to understand, support, and work better with their women colleagues. And they are using Women at Claris as a vehicle to try to improve their insights, their knowledge, their ability to do that in a safe space where that is okay to have a topic of discussion. And so I like the concept of what you're talking about here, and support it, because I think personally, I think that's how we're going to tackle inclusion. And because we're doing that ourselves in Women at Claris, we chose to not to go, make it available just for women. So that's my thoughts.
This is Beverly. My thoughts were that our inclusion of men also gets us, 1, another perspective, but 2, as we are dealing with our businesses and trying to promote ourselves, if we include men that can assist us with that, then we are really, really better off to do that.
Thank you, both of you.
I'll also add, we've made pleas for help for all of our committees. And the fact is that there's just less of us. There's less women in this community. And I just feel like anybody who's willing to help with our mission should be allowed to. If there's a passion, no matter what your gender is, if you're going to help us with our mission, it doesn't make sense to turn that away, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just want to echo the kind of the same thing that other people were saying, and especially being a part of Women at Claris yesterday, just seeing all that support and enthusiasm. It was really, really nice to see and really refreshing, and it brought a lot of different conversation to the table as well, which I think is always good to kind of, be breaking down those barriers and things, and that's going to be a collective effort. So for me, it was just really great to see that and to see some way to kind of integrate that, because we've been having a lot of queries about how can we support more, what can we do more, and that's a question we love having, and conversations we love having in general. And I just think if there is a space that would be nice and welcomed by definitely the men and hopefully by WITfm as well.
So how does this work? Do we take a vote, or is there anybody who has any concerns that they want to address to the group?
Hey, I'm Nancy. I haven't really participated, so I don't really feel like it's my place to voice my concern. But the appeal of a group like this is that it is women. And I've certainly been at meetings in other parts of my life where the men have dominated. And I think sometimes there is a place for giving women a chance who might be less of the know-it-all kind of attitude. And so I just wanted to say that that's something that would be concerning to me. And that's why I was asking, what is exactly, thinking about the mission statement of the organization, and is this the only strategy to reach the mission statement? But I respect all your opinions. You've all been participating a lot more, and it's not really, I don't know if it's really my place. to push the direction of your group.
I
would have
appreciate.
to- oh.
Just yeah, give me one sec. I appreciate you sharing that, and also I think that it speaks to that very important thing that we don't want to lose about being able to have. I called them safe spaces, but I think you did a better job articulating like being able to have a space for people who, you know, may not otherwise speak up, and in particular in situations that, like our whole fields, to be honest, right, that tend to have a lot more men than women in them. And I think that we would definitely, it's definitely something that we need to be very conscious of. So Linda, I think I interrupted you.
Okay, I would have to sort of second what Nancy said. Having spent a good part of my life in this industry, and I am still a person who believes in having spaces for women that are women-only spaces. And that's what I like about the organization. I do understand the support of so many, you know, of our colleagues in this industry who are men, but the issue of mansplaining, hate to say it, comes up, and
What?
money, and I don't want to, you know, I don't want to deal with that, you know, right now, in these times. But I do want to find a way for support. So perhaps we need to think about it a little bit more, you know.
Can I ask if there's particular spaces that feel important to preserve? Like for me, one of the ones is the Slack space, because that's where I do most of my interaction. But I wonder if there are other things for you, like if, you know, if the luncheon being women's only, or like if these meetings being women only, like if, you know, if there's anything that stands out to you as being something that would be important. And I see your hand, Nikki.
Oh,
Sorry, I was asking that to Linda though.
oh,
Let me think about it.
Perfect. Yep.
Thanks.
Did Nancy have I think Nancy wanted to answer that question.
Yeah, I
too.
was just thinking at how wonderful it is at the FileMaker conferences. I have to say how wonderful it is to walk into the lunchroom, the lunch meetings or breakfast that have been, and it is all women. And what a relief that is, especially at the conference, and what a support that has been. And how different I would feel if there were one man at each table even, or a presentation by a man. I think it's wonderful to provide the opportunity to have, if the goal is leadership for women. So thanks.
Yeah, I think that's really good. And the luncheon, frankly, I think because it has been a while since we've had an in-person conference, wasn't at top of mind for this, but I think that would be a great candidate for something that we keep women only, even if we allow men to financially support us through membership dues. I think that would make sense as an additional safe space where, you know, because as you said, like when you go to DevCon and you look around, it's like, where are the women? Whereas when you walk into the luncheon, it's like, this is the space where the women are. So I think that's a really good point to surface. Nikki and Heidi, I see you both have your hands up. Nikki, do you want to go something next?
Is it too late to say Happy New Year to everybody?
Not too late.
I think I feel, first of all, I need to say that I'm sorry that I wasn't more active in the group. I certainly set out to do a lot more, but I've sort of been overwhelmed by a lot of other stuff, some of which is nonprofit, that is very close to my heart. And there is a similar discussion there. And for me, I have to speak from my own experience. I have to say that I cannot say that I have had a lot of trouble with working with men in the workspace. And in general, I found that if there's less women than men, it sort of produces a climate that I do very well in. So I am one of those women who is a little bit more reluctant to work in an all women environment. So that's just to put in another side of this discussion. And looking at what you've put down there on the sheet, the main thing that bothers me is taking it too far. It sort of triggers a response in me, is that just to say in general that we want everybody who wants to support us or contribute in one way or the other, and that includes males, that's a nice term. That's like saying, yeah, we need inclusivity. We need people of color. We need people with certain religions. We need, and I feel that separates us rather than brings us together. So I was wondering, has this come up because they want to financially contribute, just to show that they support the cause, if you want to call it that? And the other question I have, if that came to the table in board meeting discussions, what are the expectations of what that will bring to us? And the third and last remark is, I completely understand the reluctance to give up a safe space for us women to talk about those specific things, even if it's just payment, but it might be harassment, it might be domineering. I know I've worked with somebody, you might know my surname, although I don't like to associate with Wim de Kort, but that is my husband. And he works for Soliant and I run his old company, Connecting Data. And it has happened twice that a customer actually wanted to work with Wim and got me and was not very happy with that and was very vocal about that. And Wim initially couldn't believe that my instincts were right, because there were comments like, oh, that's easy for Wim, he lets the little wifey poo do the work, and then, I get the bill at the rate for Wim, which was not the case. But just to have somebody make that remark, just, I like now, I was just stammering. I couldn't think of a proper response without it being offensive. And I think in working with Wim on this, Wim doesn't have any problem working with anybody, no matter what their gender or inclination is. It's just not important because it's about the work. And through our working together in our own company and me talking about those experiences, I found that the main thing that we have to gain with the male part of the FileMaker people is more the awareness of that this exists, that this is not just a complaint of women who are having their period or because the children must be giving them a hard time, or, like, oh, can you get that mug for me? Because I can't get it, that kind of behavior. And that sort of is the cartoon part of what we often hear when you listen into discussions amongst males, and it's not always nice to hear, but is it really worth our attention? So I think, what is the expectation that will bring, and how do we present ourselves? Because I think empowering women has a lot to do with the fact that we should stop looking at gender. I know there's real issues in terms of, being paid less and that kind of stuff. And there are always idiots who harass us, and that will not change. History has been going on like that, and I don't think in my lifetime that will change. But to empower women and become aware where their fears are when this happens. I mean, it took me completely by surprise when this customer was acting like this, and we did quit him because it was an impossible situation. I didn't want to be treated like that. And that guy will never have awareness, I'm sure. This might sound negative. I don't see faces right now, so I don't see your reactions. So trying to get back to the actual subject, I don't have an issue if males want to support us and even let them in as a member. But I would like to see or talk about what our expectations are, what shape that is going to take. When we have a panel, we need, whatever discussions we have, we need to first make sure that we know what our objectives are, and empower ourselves so that it doesn't matter so much. And really finally, I just want to say this in this group of 29 women, just openly. When I was discussing this with Wim, I asked him about Soliant. And I asked him, do you feel that if there was an open position and there were two similar resumes coming in, and one was a woman and one was a guy, would that make a difference? And he said, we will look at the qualifications and we will look at what the teams are like. And if the teams are predominantly male, we might choose the woman. if the teams that this person is applying for is predominantly female, we might want to put a male in a group. And I thought that was a very healthy reply, and I believe that that was honest too. That's what I wanted to contribute. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you,
Girls.
Nikki.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that those are really good points. And just to share, I think that the thinking so far has been that the two main things that we would like, well, one is the other direction. So we've had several men approach us who said, like, yes, I want to become a member, in the sense that they would like to be a monthly supporter of WITfm. And so that's just sort of the, I guess it's a financial plus kind of like a sense of being officially joined up, or like officially teaming up. And then I think that the second major thing that we so far have thought of, but I'm sure there are other things to think about, are being able to get more support for the work that we're doing. Because it's not an accident that you keep hearing me asking for volunteers. There are a couple of people, like a handful of people, who are doing almost all of the work, and we all also have day jobs. And so it's really, really, really a struggle to try to do all of the work of WITfm and all of the work of our jobs. And I think if we had, you know, even if we had 10 men who were on committees who would help, I think that would really, really help. So I see there's two more hands, and I know Linda, you're on the phone and unmuted. So let's I'm not forgetting you, Heidi. Can I go to Linda for a moment, and then we'll come back to Heidi?
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me or no?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, it tells like I'm unmuted everywhere. First of all, my name is Linda Gervis. So people don't hear, I'm on the business committee leadership here. And I just want to point out that when we did this, when we looked at including men in the past couple of days, the actual bylaw change, if you look in the chat, talks about them not being in a leadership role. So we're still maintaining the leadership position in the group to be that of women. They are non-voting, so they don't get to come in and like take over the group and make the decisions. We are still the decision makers, and they are here, and very specifically it states in there that they are here in a supportive role to our organization, and that we always, as the board, okay, as the governing board, have the ability to say, wait a minute, we determine where they interact with us and where they don't interact with us. That was the intention of there, so that there would be safe places for women to be within the group, but yet these men who do want to, and that does give them an opportunity to work with women. So maybe they've never worked on a group with a woman before, and by being on our committees, that's where they can learn, you know, what kind of, you know, behavior is acceptable and not acceptable. What are they doing that might be, you know, and by being on our committees, we're actually teaching them as men how to interact with women, not just within our group, but within the world around them better. And then they in turn can teach the other men. So I think by that, so I just want people to know that the mindset of when we wrote this bylaw, that was what our mindset was. So we limited where they would interact with us. We limited their leadership position within here, and we limited their ability to like take over the group. We still maintain that control as women within the group. So I just wanted to say that that's what our intention was here, because we do have men that do want to support us. And if you go back historically and look at all the women's suffrage movements, Girl Scouts, the other women organizations around the world, you will see that they do have some kind of auxiliaries or the ability for men to be there, to be in a supportive role, to support the women in those groups. So it's not necessarily unprecedented. So that was our thinking in doing the bylaws, and I just wanted everybody to understand that that was the thinking when we went into here. So but I totally get the mindset that, hey, we want to make sure we maintain a safe place for women to have a place to go. So
Linda, is there
that would
any,
be there.
is there
Yeah.
anything in the bylaws about revoking access or revoking membership?
Yes.
Like if we do,
Yes, members have to be
Yes, yes.
confirmed by the board.
okay,
Yes.
so if there was, let's say, a male who came in and tried to dominate, we can revoke membership.
You can
Like,
revoke
what is it?
membership, and you also can revoke leadership positions. So,
Okay, so it's just a board decision to revoke, and that's it. Okay.
Mhm.
well, I think there's a vote. Yeah,
Vote.
exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
Thank you for all that background, Linda. That's really valuable. And I'll say that personally, one of the ones I was curious about was the League of Women Voters, and they had started out as a women's organization and now have this. I don't think actually that they prohibit men from holding leadership, but all of the leadership just remains held by women. But the membership is open to everyone. So, Heidi, I promised we would come back to you, and then I see Karen, you also have your hand up. So let's go to Heidi.
Hi, I was eating lunch, so I'm turning my video on. So per Julie's point, I wonder, and also just thinking about the FBA and platinum kind of groups, I wonder if there's some kind of in between that is, you know, the larger meetings include men, but there is, you know, I don't know if the platinum FBA is a good analogy, but then there's, you know, kind of the women are the platinum, right? And so if there is a way to do that, and then in the larger organization, you know, men are included and can help on committees and everything. And it's tricky how that will all work out because, so my point of view is that we are where we are at this point in time, right? Things are the way they are. You can't deny that these things don't happen. These things, you know, there's men I love who are condescending and mansplaining, and, you know, and it is what is baked into our culture, into our movies, into our, there's a really good book I was also going to put called Behave, the Biology of Our Best and Worst. And, you know, it's just really baked in, and even we do it as women. And so I think it's important to be very intentional about including men and educate, as opposed to, you know, having men come in and, you know, kind of be the way, you know, I think any men who join will be a little careful, but, you know, educate a little bit about experiences, you know, even have a meeting of, you know, what the experience is like as a woman in these different situations, and, you know, what we would like to see, what the solution is, as opposed to we can all tell our stories and everything, but what are solutions to some of these, how we would like to be viewed or treated. But I guess my ending point is I do think men should be included, but it needs to be very intentional. And I think that it's also important to have a space for women, and maybe there could still be kind of the other group. And I think it would be fabulous if some men were on committees and helping. I think it would be great.
Thank you.
That's all I had to say. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Heidi. I appreciate that. Karen, I'm not forgetting you, I promise. I just want to say, I don't think that we will come to a final answer on this today. So if just to know, Karen, why don't you go, and then before we wrap up, I'll talk a little bit about where we might go forward.
All right, so a little more input on these things, especially also what Heidi made me think. Regarding safe space, we definitely need year-round access in every way that someone feels comfortable to be able to chat with the rest of the women and completely privately. I would say I would love to see the luncheon not be that kind of safe space, because it would be almost amusing if we can get some guys in the room and they are the minority and they get to sit at a table with more women than men and learn, you know, and be exposed So I kind of think it would be fun. Maybe we don't allow it to be, like the normal mix. We intentionally invite a select amount so that it is a mix, and yet, they feel the heat, I suppose.
Was that? Thank you.
That was it.
That is a
I like
different
to agree.
perspective that I hadn't thought of before. So,
Well, aside, you all probably know I have many women friends in FileMaker land who aren't our members because they particularly don't like the luncheon being all women. So in terms of getting more of that type of FileMaker developer who's female into our fold, it would help if we didn't make the luncheon something that took away their chance of seeing as many friends as possible, because it's obviously there's a lot of male friends to meet up with during DevCon.
thank you. Thank you, everybody. And I want to especially appreciate, I led with a very strong introduction of, this is what I would like to propose. And so I really appreciate, especially those of you that were willing to speak up with a different perspective, because I think that, we call it mansplaining, and when we have terms that are gendered, but women also shut each other down. And I don't think that this should be a space where we shut each other down, but rather that we're supporting each other. And in the interest of that, I think we need to continue to refine this. It feels actually to me like we're pretty close. I feel like there's sort of a core set of concerns that everyone seems to share about, safety and voice and leadership. And there are also a core set of things that I think everyone would be on board with having, like, it'd be great if men could give us financial support. And in fact, they do, they make donations, but it would be, I think everyone's on board for that. So it doesn't seem to me that the gap is that big. It seems like we're more at a point of like, what's the messaging? Maybe it's not membership, maybe it's like something else. Maybe it's like a supporterness, or I have no idea. I'm just like saying random words. Point is, everyone who is a member has access to the Slack space, whether or not you ever show up there. But this could be the moment in which you would like to show up in our Slack space. So we have, thanks to Vanessa's quick action, a channel set up in the Slack to continue this conversation expressly. And if you are having trouble getting into your Slack account because you do not live on Slack 24/7, I admire you, and I wish that sometimes that I could be you. But Bev will be happy to help you if you email her at membership@witfm.org. Or if that's too long, you can email me at info@witfm.org, and I will pass it to Bev, and she will sort you out or get your correct email on there. But it would be great to be able to continue that in a sort of threaded conversational way in Slack. And then I think that the next step that we would take is, once we felt like there was some consensus there, if we were to make any changes, we would need to have a voting session of the membership. So that would be something that we would schedule at a later date. But I think that first we need to make sure that we kind of get everyone on the same page, and I would be very hopeful that we can do consensus building rather than just an up or down vote, but find something that everyone actually feels not just comfortable with, but I'd really love it to be something that everyone feels enthusiastic about, and that you come out of this thinking, that we find a way to get men involved where we leave here feeling like, yes, I want to go tell all of my male friends that this is what they should do and that they should get on board, and whatever it is. I don't know what form that takes, but
I hate to interrupt, but we just got 2 new members signed up.
Amazing. And hopefully there are going to be a number of new people coming in, also from Claris, but also in the world beyond. So thank you for that live update of membership. It's very exciting. So thank you all for being here. I'm sorry that we did not get to do the breakout room activity because it sounded super cool. I will tell you what it was in case you have another group you want to use it with, which was to only use video in a breakout room with 2 people, so no audio, on mute, and find 3 things that you have in common within 60 seconds. So I've been told that this has resulted in some very fun breakout rooms, and I would love to try it. And perhaps our next quarterly meeting will have a chance to do that. So thank you all for your time and for your input. And please, yes, please use this moment to share your human and otherwise friends that are here with you, because I love that. And please continue the conversation in our Slack channel as we continue to move forward. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Chrissy.
Thanks. Bye.
See you next time.
Bye.